Quitting food addiction is easy actually. Do you think you're a food addict? Too much fat and sugar puts you at risk of obesity, heart disease, and even strokes. Sadly, fat and sugar make food highly palatable. You might get a rush of highly addicted dopamine when you consume them. So if you're unable to stop eating sometimes foods, this video is for you, as today I'll reveal the secret way to quit your addiction to food and make it easy. The key to quitting food addiction is to get on a meal plan. Not a diet, low-calorie plan either. Stay away from extreme diets. They don't work, they make influencers money and leave you feeling utterly miserable. They're not sustainable either, and you're much more likely to boomerang back to your old food addiction behaviours if your diet leaves you feeling hungry or unsatisfied. Binge eating and food addiction are highly complex issues, but hunger nearly always exacerbates those urges, cravings, and other symptoms that come with this problem. Even if you want to lose weight in the future, you must first learn normal eating. This is different for everyone, of course, but for most people, a good place to start is 3 small meals: breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus 3 small snacks every day. Breakfast is your first meal of the day, but lots of people don't feel hungry first thing in the morning. That doesn't mean you shouldn't eat breakfast. In fact, many studies suggest that folks who skip this meal tend to overeat later on. It's a good idea to prepare breakfast the night before you leave for work or school in the morning, so you can take it with you to eat whenever you feel hungry. But what should breakfast look like? A healthy meal is a balanced meal. You need carbohydrates to fill you up and give you energy for later. Oatmeal, or porridge for any Scottish folk in the audience, is very filling due to its high fibre content. If you're not a porridge person, a couple of slices of wholemeal toast with eggs, cheese or avocado provide protein and some healthy fats to give you staying power and hold you over until you eat again. Let's talk lunch. Sandwiches, salads and sushi are all good options if you don't have a lot of time. Just make sure you have a portion of veg with this meal, ideally some leafy greens like spinach, kale or bok choy. Although they don't particularly lend themselves at first, these foods overflow with nutrients like vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, potassium and even magnesium, which are vital for your brain, skin and bone health. They also boost your energy. Now, it's time for the big one, dinner. Many people look at dinner as the main meal of the day, but it doesn't have to be. Perhaps you had a meal out with friends at lunch or enjoyed a sizable stack of pancakes at an all-you-can-eat brunch party. Whatever your dinner may be, just remember to eat it. The rules are the same. Make sure your evening meal includes a portion of protein, carbs like rice, potatoes or noodles, and plenty of veg. If you find it difficult to eat vegetables, just know you're not alone. In the UK, only about 33% manage to eat the recommended portion of 5 fruits and vegetables every day. That said, there is a sneaky tip I can give you to make it easy to eat veggies, and that is to hide them from your fast food obsessed brain. Add some spinach to your pasta sauce and whiz it up in a blender to disguise the taste, or fry some peppers and tomatoes in your stir fry. Snacks are important too, because for most people, 3 meals a day isn't quite enough. Try to keep snacks at around 200 calories, though don't panic if your snacks are slightly more or less than that. Use your snacks to up your fruit consumption, as fruit provides vitamin C, zinc, phosphorus and folic acid, which you need to eat for healthy skin, immune and metabolic health, cell repair and reproductive health. You might pair these fruit snacks with a little burst of protein, for example peanuts, cashews, whey powder or protein bars. Whatever you do, don't prepare for the Last Supper before you start eating on your meal plan. Resist the temptation to have one last unhealthy meal before kicking the habit. Though it might feel good in the moment, that last hurrah reinforces binge behaviour and leaves you feeling bloated, unmotivated and possibly ashamed, though it's nothing to feel ashamed of. When deciding how to eat, you might feel at a loss. That's okay. Adequate nutrition education is a luxury that most don't get growing up. Maybe you're not sure what normal eating looks like. Consider what food you enjoy. Do you prefer sweet or savoury? When are you most hungry? As we discovered already, you should plan 3 meals with equal parts carbohydrates and protein like yogurt, chicken or eggs. Base your snacks on fruits, vegetables or low sugar carbohydrates. A banana is one of the best snacks you can choose with its low releasing energy and potassium to balance your salts. If you have any dietary requirements, allergies, or conditions that could affect or be affected by your diet, consult a doctor before you make any nutritional changes. At this point, you need to consider what your trigger foods are. What are the foods that make you want to binge? Some people who struggle with overeating list breakfast cereals, crisps, or even peanut butter as examples of foods they feel addicted to. If you're serious about your recovery, identify what foods trigger the binge reflex for you and get them out of your gaff. It's not that they're out of bounds forever, they might not even be considered unhealthy in the high fat, high sugar sense. However, these foods aren't safe for you right now as they weaken your recovery and make you feel tempted to binge. Take a look at your fridge. What can you see? Are there rows of high protein, wholemeal snack bars and calcium rich yogurts? Or is your pantry stuffed with crisps, cakes, chocolate bars and fried chicken? Okay, so maybe that's a bit of a cliche. Believe it or not, many foods that appear healthy at first contain swathes of sugar and fudge tons of saturated fats. Check the nutritional information on the back of the pack. Before we continue, please take a second to subscribe to Simple Actually. We're growing fast and we'd love to have you along for the ride. Choose 2, yes, just 2, high fat, high sugar foodstuffs to keep in stock for when you need a treat. The rest of them, they're for the chuck. Of course, it's a crime to throw food out this day and age, so try palming off your excess sweets, chockies and crisps to your mates at work. That way, they're out of your reach and you won't feel obliged to finish them up. Okay, now it's time to start fresh and shop for your new meal plan. Stay away from those trigger food aisles and focus on getting as much fruit and veg as you can as cheaply as possible. Oh, and another thing, don't shop when you're hungry, as this will make it much harder to avoid temptation. Next, it's time to eat, but rather than hawking down each meal, I'm going to share the next quitting tip that will make all the difference. Mindful eating. According to the National Institute of Health, mindful eating is extremely helpful to those who struggle to recognise hunger and fullness cues. With mindful eating, it's important not to rush your meals. Try to notice every moment, step by step, until you've had enough. Don't judge yourself for any feelings that arise. Remember, food shouldn't ever be a source of shame, no matter where you are on your nutritional journey. Notice how hungry you are at the beginning of your meal. Do you just need something to tide you over? Or are you so hungry you could eat a horse? Check in with yourself as you eat, and notice how that feeling of hunger changes to satisfy, and finally, fullness. You could even start a food diary in which you can log how hungry or full you feel at the beginning and end of your every meal. Jot down how you feel about your food, your progress, and whether or not you feel tempted to binge. Why do you think you overeat? Do you use food to cope with stress, sadness, loneliness, or boredom? Or is there something else? Unless you want to boomerang back to binge, it's time to put your detective cap on and embark on a bit of soul searching. Look back over your life so far and try to pinpoint where your food became a problem for you. If you're struggling to remember, ask friends and family for guidance. They might have noticed your behaviour and be able to advise when it all began. Don't be surprised if it correlates with a painful or stressful time in your life, during a period of bullying, a relationship split, or a significant life event. If you want to kick your food addiction, you also need to find a fresh new coping mechanism. This coping strategy should be safe for you and other people while serving the same purpose as food once did. If you eat to cope with feelings of anger, find a cushion on which to take out your feelings until you're too exhausted to continue. If anxiety is your vice, running, jogging, or even walking helps to bring those jitters to the surface so you can express them directly, either by working them off or having a quick cry. Take heed, crying is not a brave act, but necessary for good health. Some folks describe overeating as a way to cope with boredom, but if you find yourself bored often, it's a sign there's something deeper at play here. It suggests your life isn't giving you the mental exercise that your brain needs to reach its full potential. If this is you, then it's time to set yourself a challenge. And it's got to be hard. Learn a new language, start a large-scale creative project. You might even need to think about finding a different job that will better exercise those lofty faculties of yours. Once you feel secure on your meal plan, you can start to experiment. Try new foods, or see if you can now incorporate those trigger foods into your day in a normal, balanced way. If you find yourself slipping back into old habits, then head back to your meal plan. Go back to eating the same or similar things every day. While it's monotonous and doesn't optimize your health in the long run, it will help you feel more secure in your recovery and confidently in control. Comment down below to tell us how you're getting on with your addiction kicking journey, and let me know if I've missed any handy tips off the list. Finally, I should mention that there is one situation in which this quick quit hack method should not be used. Millions of people struggle with food addiction and binge eating, but if you think you're living with an eating disorder, then the advice might not be for you. Food should never be a source of shame, no matter what your body type, weight, or eating habits are. Food is fuel, and that's all it will ever be. If you think you're struggling with disordered eating, check the description for the links to resources, and know that you are not alone.